Marriage fraud refers to pretending to have intentions to marry, only to deceive the other person and extract money or other benefits. This means my husband didn't commit marriage fraud against me. But I'm sure it's still a case of marriage fraud. And that includes my mother-in-law who conspired with him. I'm Emily, 35 years old, and have been married for about 3 years. I recently got promoted to accounting manager in a mid-sized company and earn a decent salary. On the other hand, my husband Michael, 3 years my senior, works in sales at a small business. His salary was already low, and due to the recession, it seems like his pay and bonuses were cut. I don't know the exact amount, but currently, it seems to be about 2/3 of my salary. So, most of the living expenses, including utilities, were coming out of my paycheck. Michael was enthusiastic about having children. He couldn't understand why I was hesitant. At the time of our marriage, several women at my workplace were pregnant or on maternity leave. This increased the workload for everyone in my department, including me, and I wanted to wait until things settled down. I had clearly communicated this to Michael when we got married. Taking maternity leave as a manager during such a busy time isn't ideal. Emily, you're responsible and admirable for thinking that way. Michael said this and agreed with me. Yet, just a month into our marriage, he started pressuring me to have a child. It's totally fine, I'll take care of the grandchild. You just focus on your work. Even his mother, living a 15-minute walk from our new home, chimed in. Until then, my mother-in-law and I hadn't gotten along well. She seemed displeased that I didn't quit my job after getting married. I don't care how good you are at your job, but slacking off and taking care of my son is another matter. Even just being a proper housewife on the weekends would be nice, but you're always just lounging around? No matter how tired, what kind of wife are you? She often criticized, showing her favoritism towards her son. I was also surprised how she managed her finances, often going out or traveling since my father-in-law passed away. Probably, she had an inheritance from my father-in-law who passed away a few years ago. Her sudden offer to help with the grandchild in a sweet tone was suspicious. When I mentioned this to my husband, he got angry. Don't you want to let my mom hold her grandchild? She's just worried about you being over 30 and wants you to have a baby soon. Doubting her kindness is wrong. He yelled. Certainly, that's true, but I couldn't shake off my doubts. However, I wanted children too, so I decided to accept my mother-in-law's kindness. My pregnancy went smoothly without morning sickness, and I was able to take ample maternity leave. With strong encouragement from my mother-in-law, I returned to work 6 months after giving birth. Upon returning, I became an assistant manager with part-time hours, making about 2/3 of my previous salary. Yet, it was comparable to other full-time women of my age, and I was grateful to continue working. My mother-in-law took great care of my child, even encouraging me to go back to full-time. My child became very attached to grandma, which was a bit bittersweet, but I was thankful for the help. About a year later, the topic of living with my mother-in-law came up. She had hinted at it before, but I was too exhausted from work and taking care of my child and Michael to consider it. I thought living with her would not give me peace of mind, so I ignored it. However, she insisted that living together would be better for raising the child. I was mentally prepared to eventually live with my mother-in-law, but I was a bit shocked that the topic came up just 3 years into our marriage. However, considering all the help she's given with the child, I thought I should change my mindset. But I was surprised when I was called to my in-laws' house and heard the proposal from Michael and his mother. This house is pretty old, right? We're thinking about rebuilding it, said my mother-in-law with a smile, looking right at me. Yes, it's indeed quite old and has some issues like leaks. Right? And recently, my back's been hurting, it's really inconvenient. I want to make it barrier-free. But a rebuild would cost several $100,000. I thought there was a decent inheritance when my father-in-law passed away, but neither Michael nor his mother mentioned anything about finances. Worried, I interrupted them while they were excitedly discussing the new house. So, how are we going to finance this? Oh, about that, could you possibly take out the mortgage in your name? What? You know, Michael's salary is quite low. I asked a friend from a bank, and she said it might not pass the credit check. Excuse me? Yeah, you know, my low salary, sorry about that. Wait a minute, what's with this casual attitude? That's going to be difficult for me. Why? We're family, right? We're going to live together after all. That's true, but... Emily, you work at a stable, reputable company, and with your title as assistant accounting manager, they said you'd qualify for a considerable mortgage. We might as well build a nice house, right? But... What's the matter, Emily? Mom's asking so nicely, can't you just agree? That's not so easy. Don't worry. Trust us. I somehow managed to calm the two of them down. I'll think about it. With that, I ended the conversation. Sure, leaving my in-laws' 40-year-old house as is could be a problem. But taking out a full mortgage in my name for construction costs is just not common sense. Michael should understand that too, so why are the two of them conspiring like this? I figured out their plan when I overheard Michael's late-night phone call. When I got up for the bathroom, I heard him whispering in the dark living room. Words like construction costs and bank mortgage were audible. Listening closer, it seemed he was talking to his mother. We're almost there, Emily's about to say yes. Her only good point is earning money, after all. Me? My only good point is earning money? What does that mean? I was stunned and shocked, but then Michael started an even more shocking conversation. Yeah, having the child helps. It's in our court. If we get custody, even after a divorce, there's no problem at all. Emily's always prioritized work over childcare. We'll argue she's not fit as a mother. The child? What about the child? It's in our court? What does custody mean? They're planning to divorce me. My confusion grew, but then Michael made it clear. Of course, the house won't be in her name. If it's in mine and Mom's name, and the mortgage is in Emily's, she'll keep paying the mortgage even after we divorce. Don't worry. Once we get custody and take the child, Emily will definitely keep paying the mortgage. So, their plan is to take out the mortgage in my name, divorce me, take the child, and use that as leverage to make me keep paying the mortgage? That explains why they suddenly started pushing for a child and offered to take care of it. My shock turned to anger. I wasn't going to let Michael and his mother get their way. I started planning on how to turn the tables on them. First, I told them I would pay for the mortgage and had them visit various homebuilders and contractors to get an estimate. As I suspected, as they talked with the consultants, the layout and interior specs became increasingly luxurious, and the final cost shot up to nearly $400,000. I then pushed them further. Now that the layout is decided, shouldn't we go look for furniture? It's hard to find pieces you really like. As expected, Michael and his mother only browsed high-end furniture stores and kept buying, storing everything in the store's warehouse. About 4 months later, after they'd spent lavishly, Michael and his mother, who had been out during the day, called me to the in-laws' house. Emily, we've settled on the contractor and are happy with the quotation, so we just signed the construction contract. Can you now formally apply for the mortgage at the financial institution? And we need you to pay 10% as a down payment right away. That's when I dropped the bomb. Sorry. I can't pay for the mortgage. What? Actually, I've bought an apartment in my name. An apartment? What are you talking about? We decided to live here. Why did you go off and do that on your own? You and your mother can live here, but I've decided that the child and I will live in that apartment. What are you saying all of a sudden? With the apartment mortgage, I'm already paying nearly $1,000 a month, so I can't afford to pay for that too. At this point, Michael and his mother panicked. What are you talking about now? You agreed to pay for the mortgage. Yes. We've already bought furniture worth over $20,000. Then I replied. I know everything. Your plan to claim I'm a failure as a wife and mother, divorce me, get custody, and make me pay for the entire mortgage. As I said this, both turned pale but tried to feign ignorance desperately. That's not possible. I know you've been a good mom, even if it's just for a short while. I've heard you've been spreading rumors in the neighborhood. My daughter-in-law doesn't do anything around the house or for the child. Even claiming I've been violent towards the child and you to make it easier to get custody. At this, his mother turned red and fell silent. Then I confronted Michael with the truth. You never showed me your pay stubs because you said you were embarrassed about your low salary. So, I searched your room. I found last year's tax assessment notice. Your income was higher than mine now. What's that about? Well, actually, I have student loan repayments. Do student loan come from nightclubs? What? What are you talking about? I found a nightclub girl's business card in the bill from some shady company. Come back soon, Michael, it said. Michael gave in after I exposed all this. He had been smitten with a girl at that nightclub, spending over $1,000 a month there and giving her an allowance of $500. That's why he had no money for the rebuild. Next was his mother. I let you work, but you never gave me any money. You earn so much. What? I'm out of money. I've used up the inheritance. I thought if I got you divorced from Michael, I could get alimony, and if we got custody, I could get child support from you. How short-sighted, she planned to use that child support, didn't she? How was she planning to raise the child? I immediately presented them with divorce papers and left the in-laws' house with my child. Then I went straight to a lawyer's office. I had recorded the entire conversation earlier. Thanks to that, I was able to get a divorce with alimony, property division, and child support. Especially with Michael's salary deception, which was close to marital fraud, my lawyer pushed hard, and I got a substantial amount in alimony. This has made the payments for my and my child's apartment much more manageable, and I'm really grateful. Meanwhile, Michael and his mother had to pay 10%, $40,000, as a cancellation fee for the construction contract. As for the furniture, they had gone crazy and ordered custom pieces, so they couldn't cancel and received a bill for over $20,000. Obviously, Michael didn't have that kind of money, and his mother had almost exhausted her inheritance, so they had to borrow to pay it off. Now they are living in the old mother-in-law's house that's started to leak, leading a life of extreme poverty. I still get occasional messages from Michael, but I'm pretty sure they're just about borrowing money, so I completely ignore them.